G'day, it's Pete here.
Hey, and Justin.
And we're here to talk about our journey to the Bermuda Bowl, what we're doing to try to improve as a partnership. So what have we actually done this month?
Well, this month we've actually done a fair bit. We've headed down to Tasmania, watched Pete get a bit older. That was yesterday, so happy birthday. And we've been doing quite a lot of bidding practice. We've done quite a few things, and while we're in Tassie, we didn't play very well, but we noted quite a few things, and we've gone through quite a rigorous process of going through the hands. And do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so what we do when we play is we make sure we actually review all the hands that we actually played. So most people just play and then move on and try and forget about your bad boards and reminisce about the glory days of where you made this, but we actually like to stop and look over all the hands, the good, the bad, or the indifferent, and just discuss what we thought about the options. Was I too aggressive? Was I too passive? What were my other bids? Or in some options we talked about just make sure we're on the same meaning in the third round or fourth round or fifth round of the bidding so that we actually understand what we're actually trying to show.
Yeah, part of the big problem is so many times you look at a board and you say, we got to the right contract, and everybody goes through and they say, well, basically, we got to the right contract, do we need to talk about anything? Just because you got to the right contract this time doesn't mean the next 10 times you get the hand that you're going to, unless you're on the same wavelength, you expect the same things. So we went through all the hands and we sort of went up to each other and we said, what do you think about this bid? What do you think about that bid? And be really, really critical. The big problem is that so many people go, oh, yeah, made the right bid, look at me, rather than saying that bid was actually really bad, but it worked quite well on this hand. So we've come through, and here's an interesting hand that we came across. The east hand starts by opening one heart. I think I managed to make the correct opening bid. And south jumped to 3 diamonds. And this came to west, and this is a hand that quite a few players came up to us and talked to us about. And there are many different options of what you can do. I didn't really like what Pete did on this hand, but it wasn't terrible. But what did you do?
So I just bid 3 spades, and this is probably a bid that lots of people would just make instinctively, looking at their good spades and thinking, yeah, I'll just bid 3 spades. But what happens is we're the only one with diamonds, and we're gonna end play our partner into making some terrible bid a lot of the time, and they're very often just gonna be stuck for a bid. If partner had one fewer club and
an extra diamond even.
Yeah, what do? Do they really want to just bid 4 clubs? Maybe they raise to 4 spades. It's kind of pretty awkward of what they would actually do over that. And you can't get to 3 no trump after you bid 3 spades. So we were discussing this and saying, how should we actually progress? And what do you reckon we should do?
Well, there's a couple of options in there. You look at your immediate options, and the first 2 options that seem very obvious are 3 spades and 3 no trump. Now, the problem with 3 spades being you're the one with the diamond stoppers. If you bid 3 spades and partner doesn't have a stopper, they're McDuffed. And if you bid 3 no trumps and partner's got a fit for spades or even a better hand, they could have 16 or 17 points. What are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to bid 4 no trumps? You can easily miss a fit in spades, even a grand slam in spades playing in 3 no trump. So both of those options have downside. However, when going back and looking at the hands and thinking about all the options, what's wrong with double?
Yeah, so double actually doesn't have that many downsides. You don't necessarily describe your 5th spade, but you keep 3 no trumps in the picture somewhat. You find out more about partner's hand if they want to repeat their jump in hearts or show clubs or all kinds of things like that.
Particularly in this sort of auction, partner might actually get end played into bidding a 3-card spade suit a lot of the time here. If partner has a hand where they've got 3 spades, 5 hearts, 1 diamond and 4 clubs, they might think that the 4-3 fit in spades with roughing in the short hand is actually quite a viable contract. So very often you actually get partner to bid 3 spades on this hand, which is great news for you, because now after that you can bid 4 diamonds and start looking for a slam. If your partner bids 4 hearts is probably the worst bid that partner can actually make. Now, if partner bids 4 hearts, they've jumped to game knowing that you haven't promised any hearts. So partner has a self-supporting suit and you've got 16 points. So for me, if partner jumped to 4 hearts, I would actually be looking for 6 hearts or 6 no trump.
Yeah.
Now, which one you do would probably be, for me, I would bid 5 diamonds over the top of that, which is saying, partner, I've got a cubit in diamonds, what do you think? If partner keeps insisting on hearts, I'll let them have it. If they try and bid 5 no trumps, pick a slam, that's when I go back to no trumps. So there's quite a lot of options, and basically, even when you hear the worst option you can of 4 hearts, you're still probably going to get to the right contracts. Whereas if you bid 3 spades or 3 no trumps, you've committed to something before you actually know what's right.
Yeah, so a really interesting hand there, and this is what we like to do in the review and like talk about it, because we actually had a really good board here. Like, it wasn't the fact that we had a bad board or anything. I bid 3 spades, Justin bid 4 clubs, and we worked our way to 6 clubs, making 13. Won a lot of imps. So lots of people would go, yep, good, move on to the next hand. But we like to stop and think, well, what hand should be bidding 3 spades? What are sort of things like that? What hands?
This was one of our best boards for the auction, so best board for the entire tournament. But yet we still think that there's always room to improve. Don't just go through and do what so many people do, of going through and saying, "Oh, we lost 8 or more imps in this board. Circle it. What did we do wrong?" Because if you actually look at our worst boards of the tournament, that was our opponents doing good things. Our opponents bidding a slam where they dropped a doubleton queen. They bid plenty of games. They bid plenty of other slams, and that's just the way it works. Don't just look at your bad boards, look at all the boards and see, what can I do better? And from this board, it actually brought us up with a sort of our overall take from what we need to improve on from the tournament. And that is, in these competitive auctions, actually think a lot more about doubles.
Yeah.
Basically, we've gone a fair bit to unilaterally towards bidding and not incorporating a double as much. Now, so many people think that a double only has one use. That's actually the great thing about a double, is when you have multiple ideas, that's what double says, is, partner, I don't have just one strain, I've got multiple strains. So using that a lot more is something that we're going to try and work on. And to do that, we're going to actually get some set hands. Now, where are we getting these from?
Yeah, so we've luckily been offered some set hands that we can bid out in BBO, sort of targeting special, like individual areas. We got this from the Irish, and our captain's setting us up with that. And we've got some sets already that we're going to do in the coming month, and we can request areas that we think that we actually want to work on. So these competitive bidding, when you should double, when you should bid on, these are like the bread and butter boards that are really tricky. Huge potential swings can be made, so we want to try and focus on doing that.
Yeah, most of the time, in so many pairs, they focus on very esoteric areas where they go, okay, on the 5th round of bidding, does this show the jack? Or, things like that. Whereas if you actually look at what swings a match, it is these competitive high-level bidding hands. The one bid, the one hand, that is the difference between a big win and a draw, or a medium win and a loss. Those sort of swing quite a lot. When you think about playing a hand and you're playing in a Swiss pairs, if you bid a slam and it makes, you win 13 imps. You bid a slam and it goes off, you lose 13 imps. That's 26 imps on one board. So when it comes to the high level bidding, it really does matter that you make sure that you've got these things right when it comes to the competitive biddings. You can always fall back on your agreements that you have, but basically when you're bidding, make sure you go through.
Yeah, so I think that's really important to do, and focus on those areas, know your agreements, and look for those boards. But we're also trying to do more bidding practice, so we're getting close to the event, so we're going to ramp up the amount of hands that we're actually bidding. So we're doing more sort of quizzes and things like that before, but now we're sort of going to get into more playing so that when we actually get to the event, we're very ready and focused on that.
So how many practice hands would you sort of suggest for people as they're leading up to tournaments? That's the thing, just saying we're doing more is 10 more than 5.
Yeah, so for serious partnerships, I'd set like a minimum of like 100 hands a week. You could easily do way more than that.
Yeah.
But if you just like playing bridge and you don't want to dedicate that much, I reckon just 50 hands a week up to a tournament would be just...
Yeah, that sort of 50 hands when you're going through and discussing each of them. And basically when Pete and I practice, what we do is I actually come over to Pete's house and we get down, we do bidding practice, and we say, "You're an idiot, what are you doing here?" Or,
That's said a lot.
That's a nice bid. Not said so much. But you go through, and you can do this via Skype or anything like that, but it's important when you're doing it not to just go through and say, bid, 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 alright, next. Bid, 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 next. You actually need to make sure that you've got an open line of communication. You've got to say, "Wow, did you really bid that?" Like, wow. And it goes both ways. It's the real important thing. So the next thing that I'm doing to get ready for the tournament is I'm going through and rewriting our notes. Now, that is not much fun, I'll tell you that. With a bit over 200 pages of notes, going through and rewriting them all and making sure that all the bits line up and everything's logical. And for me, going through, I try and do this once every 2 years. Sometimes it doesn't quite work that way, but going through and rewriting the whole notes, it reinforces it for me, and that allows me to not have as many errors when I'm leading up to a tournament. Pete's just Pete Hollands, he doesn't really need to do much, but
but keeping notes is really important. Someone in your partnership should do it so that there's something to refer to, and you can go back and look to it. So if you want to improve your partnership and you don't have system notes, like, we're not just talking about a system card here, but like detailed notes, talking about the first few rounds of the bidding and different areas, keep that down, write it down, and then when mistakes do happen, you can refer to it, or you can add to it when you realise that there's a gap. And this is a really important thing to actually do for new partnerships.
Particularly when it comes to the competitive bidding areas, defence and low-level bidding. Those are the areas that come up the most, and those are the areas that having notes is always good, because everybody's got a little bit of a different idea, and you go, "Oh, no, I'm right, you're wrong, bad luck, excused." And what it actually is you've written it down in the system. You say, "Well, actually, this is what our agreement is. I'm happy to change the agreement, but we've got an agreement. At the moment, this is what it means. If you want to change it, I'm happy." Now, obviously, don't just change your system every time a board comes up, because... And that's kind of like when you play cricket and move a fielder where the ball went. Yeah, that's really going to help, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. You get your system, be happy with your system and comfortable with your system. And basically, our big changes in our system over the last few months has actually been changing our carding to changing suit preference.
Yeah, so...
What do you think?
Yeah, I really like it. So what we've changed to is on declarer's first lead, whether they're in suits or no trumps, we're going to give suit preference on the very first card that they play. So high card suggesting a higher suit, low card suggesting a lower suit. So we can do this in trumps, we can do this on the first suit that they attack. And I find it's pretty good. I'm still sort of settling in, getting used to it. Need some more practice with it just to really get to know it. But you can start placing where your partner's cards are really well. And when your partner doesn't signal for what you think they would, it usually tells you quite a lot about the hand, I find. So I really enjoy it, but definitely need some more practice with it.
Yeah, certainly when I first played it when I was in Japan, I really struggled with the first tournament, and basically that's kind of what we found when we were in Tassie. We gave away quite a lot of extra tricks and extra things here just practicing it, and that was something that we were very aware of going into the tournament, that this tournament for us was testing a few things. We were obviously trying to do well, which we didn't achieve, but what can you do? I'll try playing better next time.
We beat our seed.
Yeah, we did beat our seed. We were seeded 23rd or something. So we did manage to do that. But basically, when you go into an event, you're not always going in just to win. You're sometimes going in to test a few things and make other things come up. Now, we would have loved to have won, but...
Bruce and Harvey played too well, unfortunately.
Yeah, Bruce and Harvey absolutely murdered everybody.
Yeah. Anyway, this was our journey to the bowl this month, so hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah. So in the upcoming month, we've just got our trip up to Yeppoon, and then we'll be good. All right, thanks.
See ya.
Bye.